Hello everyone and welcome to another Throwback Thursday, where this time we're taking a look at a battle from Warhammer 40k 8th edition, and that was my Emperor's Children against the Dead Guard of Nemesis for 800 points, mainly because at that moment in time I was just getting back into 40k, or better said my small surge that I played 40k, and I only had 800 points painted up. So the units that I have are mostly close combat orientated, and if there is one thing that I always shun away from in games, it's going up close and personal. I am a ranged defensive player, but let's make do with what we have. I had fielded an Exalted Champion, a Sorcerer, a Marine squad with a Heavy Bolter and a Plasma Gun, a Cultist squad with a Flamer, a Rapier Quad Bolter, a unit of Possessed and a unit of Warp Talons, and finally a Spawn. Facing me was Typhus himself, a Sorcerer, a squad of Dead Guards, 2 units of Poxwalkers and a Blight Drone, and by Slanesh I developed a big hatred for that last one. I knew the odds were against me in that I was facing Toughness 5 guys with a 5+ Ignore Wound special rule on top of their save. High strength guns were limited in my force, and as I had to rush in after deployment, my plan was basically to quickly rip the drone to shreds and then try and swamp the Marines and hope to hold out until turn 5 of the Ancient Relic scenario. First blood went to the Emperor's Children, with the Marines taking down 2 Poxwalkers, while the Rapier rattled a single Death Guard to pieces. A good start for some long-range firepower, but boy was I going to see it slide downhill. That accursed Blight Drone nailed the Spawn before it had any chance to do anything. Oh well, I didn't have high hopes for this point filler model. In turn 2, the Talons appeared 9 inches from his Sorcerer and charged in a mighty 11, ripping the caster to bits. The children had the upper hand at this moment, but little did I know this was actually the final success for the whole battle. Losing one due to Overwatch, the 4 Possessed charged the drone, managing to make 4 attacks, missing with 3 and not wounding. And of course, I forgot to use the ability of the Exalted Champion nearby and their additional Ignore Wound psychic power benefit. The drone duly flew off and blasted 2 of the Possessed apart. My Marines and Cultists threw themselves onto the Death Guards, and the Marines over the course of several turns of battle failed to do anything but die. The Cultists ironically accounted in the end for 4 of the Plagued Servants of Nurgle. Yes, those Strength 3 Cultists. Not the Strength 8 Power Fists, we did nothing in all rounds. And I didn't know you could fire pistols in close combat, so that's one wasted plasma pistol. But heck, it's the first time back then in the edition, and it's time to learn. Meanwhile, the drone turns to my Exalted Champion, and out of the blue, I'm down my general. 6 hits, 4 wounds, 4 failed saves, and vengeance for the melt I hit on the drone is extracted. Typhus and the Poxwalkers join in the fray at the building, putting even more pressure on the Marine squad. The Sorcerer and the Possessed threw themselves on the drone and missed with everything. So flies the drone again, and one salvo later my Sorcerer is off to Warp to meet his master. Consolidating around the objective, the Possessed charge the drone yet again, and again one falls to the Marines on Overwatch, but at last the drone is killed. Of course, it explodes spectacularly, leaving me with 1 Cultist and 1 wounded Possessed on the board. So the last turn wasn't even played anymore, as I threw in the towel. I also had the Rapier still around, but he couldn't do much as everything was locked in combat in the center. So what did I learn? Well, first, when starting a new game, read the rulebook. Second, Possessed, they were relegated to the far back of the closet. I don't like close combat all that much, and they are just not my cup of tea. The Rapier on the other hand impressed me, and I'm painting up the remaining 2 as soon as they arrive for the full battery, which I'll be building around my future armies. Well, back then future armies. Lousy dice rolls don't help, but neither does forgetting using your psychic skill protection or character abilities. Let's call it beginner's mistakes. But it's time to round up this little flashback to 2017. Well, it was an enjoyable battle. I had some fun battles in 40k and some, I'm not gonna elaborate, but also in those years, the reasons why I'm not touching anything 40k ever again. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.